I'm Al McFarlane. Welcome to Conversations with Al McFarlane. It's my pleasure to have a conversation with the Honorable Beverly Manley. She is the former First Lady of Jamaica. And she's joining us via video conference from the University of West Indies in Kingston. She's been on the air already this morning. She does a daily broadcast from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. talking about communications and cultural, political, social issues about Jamaicans in Jamaica and Jamaicans around the world. She is concerned about our planet, our people, about women, in particular families and children, how we create institutions, relationships that advance our ability to be civil, humane, productive, and effective, and realized as human beings. Let me tell you more about her. Beverly Manley served as Jamaica's representative to the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women and the Organization of American States Gender Section. She is a former consultant director of the Bureau of Women's Affairs Jamaica. She is a gender and transformational trainer, a consultant on third world developmental and communications issues, a vice president of the Third World Foundation, which is headquartered in Chicago. She was active in the politics of the People's National Party in Jamaica in the 1970s and early 1980s. She was president of the PNP Women's Movement and chairperson of the PNP Political Education Program, as well as its Canvassers Training Program. She was also a member of the party executive and National Executive Council, working tirelessly in the interest of women. This was a period when the women's movement in Jamaica was very active, resulting in changes in many laws that discriminated against women and children. She has written many papers on third world political, social, and economic issues, as well as articles on communications and transformation. And today we want to talk about the notion of communication and transformation for human beings, for our people, for Jamaicans at home in Jamaica and in the diaspora. And our conversation today prefaces the Jamaica-Minnesota celebration of Jamaica's independence next week. Honorable Beverly Manley, thank you so much for joining us for the program today.
It is my pleasure. Thank you.
Well, let's begin. You know, you've been a student and an organizer in transformational studies. What does that mean for you? And what is the transformation you're talking about and pursuing as an educator, as a leader?
I think one of the things that I have learned, having been in political activism for so many decades, I've always wondered, why was it that a group of us who went in under the leadership of Manley came to office in the 1970s with so much hope, so many plans, and why is it that decades after the 1970s, Jamaica is where it is in terms of poverty, antisocial behavior? A lot of us have to be thinking why, and I know there's something missing. And for me, what is missing is individual transformation. What do I mean by that? Perhaps the best way to explain it is to make a distinction between change and transformation. Change is great, but change is linear. You know, you accumulate more each year, and you are trying harder with much effort each time, so that you end up like we do in Jamaica in a number of cases now, where so many people are trying so hard, for example, to get crime reduced, but the results are more or less the same. With transformation, you break through that linear change line, which is going like this to this to this, and you break through, and you actually have a breakthrough and an insight into something beyond all of that, that then takes you into the world of the creative imagination and a range of possibilities. So that's where I am. At the individual level, that's where it begins, where you literally go through a process of reflection, looking at yourself. And instead of trying to change people over there or transform those people, you begin with yourself. So, for example, what are the beliefs, attitudes that I have created inside of my paradigm? What is my paradigm? What's the essence of my paradigm? When I'm projecting onto other people about other stuff, is it because it's also in me, and what can I do about it? Once I can begin that process of transformation at the level of the self, myself, then of course it leads to transform relationships, transform communities, and transform the world. So, the vision, because to be in transformation you have to be visionary, and the vision has to be so huge that you really can feel yourself stretching. When you do a vision, when you have a vision, you should say, wow, because you won't necessarily achieve it. But it's a great place to live from, that big idea. So the big idea I have is the transformation of Jamaicans wherever they are on the planet. Is that huge? Yes. But it is what gives me my life. It's why I've returned to the airwaves in this particular kind of way. It's why I'm involved in all kinds of conversations, including the conversation I'm having with you right now.
Well, you know, it makes perfect sense, though. I often think about how tiny Jamaica has had such a huge impact on planet Earth, on people worldwide. It's through the culture, through the music, through the work and the presence of individuals, but through the appreciation and the relentless pursuit of protecting and projecting Jamaican values and identity through culture. And so it makes sense that this idea of transformation accompany the prowess that has already been established in history.
Of course it makes sense. And you see, we in Jamaica, we are very resilient people. And often in the news media, what we get portrayed is, you know, the antisocial behavior, the crime, because you know how it is in the media. You look for so-called, quote-unquote, sexy stories. So the transformation is about how do we know it's paradise in Jamaica. Most of us who live here don't want to live anywhere else. Jamaicans who have migrated, all of them have this longing to come back home. But we have a 2030 vision of Jamaica as a place of choice, you know, to raise your families, to create wealth, a place of choice. And that is what we're working towards, because we want all Jamaicans to be involved in that effort. We know that coming out of our hundreds of years of colonialism and slavery, that we have some mental slavery still within us. We want to get that out, so we can really unleash a potential in all of us and take Jamaica, take the Jamaican brand to a level that is beyond limits. You know, the music is there everywhere you go. When you say I'm from Jamaica, whether you're in China, whether you're in Japan, United States, wherever you are, they say Jamaica, and their faces light up immediately. And I think this is one of the reasons where, in spite of the fact that we're having this high homicide rate, the tourists still come to Jamaica. They love coming to Jamaica. So we just want to make sure that we can be all that we can be, all of us working together across the social divide. Because one of the legacies of slavery is this huge social class divide. The attitudes, the difference that we see between the privileged and the not so privileged. We want to begin to bridge that gap and recognize that it is in the interest of all of us to bridge that gap. You know, there's a quotation I like to use. It's from a spiritual book called A Course in Miracles. And I'm paraphrasing it, but it goes something like this. What if there is only one of us here? What if there is only one of us here? So though there are differences, I like that, because it makes me realize that any action I take, it is going to have some kind of impact. And I must be aware of that impact before I choose that action. What if there is only one of us here?
It's a call to responsibility of being aware of the impact and the difference that your life makes. Too often, I believe, I think this is true in Jamaica and true in cities around the world, and certainly in this country, United States. In black communities in particular, there is a sense of hopelessness and a sense of devalued life. And part of that is from the internalization of oppression we experience, as you said, through the years of slavery and colonialism and the post-slavery apartheid or segregation systems, power systems that disadvantaged our people. The resilience you spoke about, though, is a testament to our ability to survive and to prosper beyond that, but still, there are remnants, huge and debilitating remnants of the legacy of slavery and deprivation. How then